All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Ethan Shapiro YouTube video. As you can see, I have a microphone now because I'm starting a podcast, which I just recorded the first episode of. But as for now, we're going to make another Ethan Shapiro YouTube video. Today, we are talking about real estate investing for the first time on this channel. Now, I tried to make this video last week by standing up in front of the whiteboard and drawing on it while I did the video, and that was super frustrating. That's what the normal finance guys on YouTube do. That's not what I'm going to do. I'm just going to talk about it, and then maybe I'll throw some stuff in this corner of the video. Cool. So this video is called How Real Estate Pays You 4 to 5 Times. At least. I wrote an entire investor letter series on this. Well, this is article 1 of my investor letter series, which my clients will be getting in the mail shortly. But yeah, so here's the idea. The whole reason is to just kind of convince people how powerful it truly is to own real estate and invest in real estate yourself compared to investing in stocks or putting your money with someone else or blah, 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 blah. Just the idea is I'm extremely confident that the best way to become financially free, to not have to work for money anymore, have money work for you, is to invest in real estate. So I'm just going to dive right into it. The example should become very compelling as I go over it. So I've got my little thing right here, my little screen with the letter that I wrote, and I'm going to just kind of run through it so anyone can watch the video instead of reading the letter. So let's go back to the year 2010. We're going to buy a house in Birmingham, Alabama for $125,000. Cool. So the down payment's going to be 20%. So you're going to put down $25,000, leaving you with a loan of $100,000. So you owe $100,000 to the bank, but you now own an asset that's worth $125,000. And in this example, your interest payments your mortgage is going to charge 4% interest annually. So the expense to borrow the money to buy the house is 4%. This is going to make your monthly mortgage payment $450 for a 30-year term. So that's a lot of months. All right. Blah, 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 blah. Everything I discuss moving forward is predicated on the fact that you buy this as an investment and not as a house to live in. And to keep things simple, we're going to take 25% of the money that you make in rent, because you're going to have a tenant, because this is an investment, and we're going to put it straight into a bank account that you never look at. You have no access to it unless something comes up with managing the house or maintaining the house in some way. So 25% of your rents is going to go straight into this inaccessible account. Cool. So good news. January 1st, you buy the house, and there's already a tenant in it. They're paying $600 a month. As you remember, your mortgage payment was $450, and then your tenant pays $600. But 25% of that $600 is going to go into an account for maintaining the property. So that's $150. So $450 plus $150 for maintenance. You put that together, that's $600. So you make no money, right? No, wrong. The 4 ways that you do make money, not including cash flow in real estate. Here we go. Number 1, principal pay down. So on January 1st, 2010, you own 123 Alabama house. It's worth $125,000. You borrowed $100,000 to buy it. You put down $25,000 as a down payment. You got your mortgage, right? So, but on the evening of January 1st, so after you pay your mortgage, after your tenant pays rent, you actually only owe the mortgage company $99,850 now, because you paid the bank the $450 mortgage. About $300-ish of that was interest to borrow the money, and then the other $150 was principal. So you used to owe $100,000. Now you owe $99,850, and you had no expenses out of pocket at all. So you can see that it seems like you didn't make any money that month, but in reality, you actually made $150, and none of it came out of your pocket. It came straight from the tenant to the bank, and now in wealth, your asset stayed worth $125,000, but your debt went down. So that's $150 right there, not semi-passively. As long as you have a property manager, if you manage it yourself, it's semi-passive income. This whole real estate investing thing, there's no way to just sit back and and count the dough. I mean, in mutual funds and stuff, you can do that, but there's always going to be risk involved. But this is just a really great way to make some money. Cool. So in this example that I have, you make $50,000 a year as a makeup artist at the local theater department. So that's your job. You make $50,000 a year. And based on the Colorado tax code, in this year, you're going to owe $10,000 in combined state and federal income taxes. So you owe $10,000, you make $50,000, you owe $10,000, you take home $40,000. That's what you go buy food with, you pay your rent or whatever you do. But now you're actually only going to owe $9,700 in taxes, because interest payments on mortgages for your investment properties are fully tax deductible. So when you pay your taxes in April of 2011 for 2010, you pay your taxes in the April the following year. Instead of owing $10,000 like you would, you actually are able to deduct the interest payments on your mortgage. So right off the bat, I mean, you're going to have that times 12. So you'll have actually a $3,600 roughly, because the interest payments go down every time you pay, which we can get into later. But at least as of January, when you've paid your mortgage, you've paid $300 in interest, so you can deduct that off your taxes. So now we're already at $450 of semi-passive income just by owning a rental property. So that's pretty cool. Number 3, property appreciation. You bought the place in January of 2010, and until January of 2020, Birmingham, Alabama had appreciation of about 27%, or 2.75% annually a year for 10 years. So the house you bought in January for $125,000 is actually worth $160 in 2020. So if we flesh this out a bit more, you earn $3,500 a year for 10 years just from owning the real estate. In other words, $290 a month of net worth / wealth, as I call it. So imagine if you hold on for another 20 years, how much appreciation you're going to get. So we had $450 plus another $290, so $450, $300, $750. We're at $740 a month in passive, we call it semi-passive income, just for owning real estate. And keep in mind, this property is not even cash flowing. Cash flowing would be making money over rent, more maintenance. Technically some people would consider it cash flowing and not include maintenance, but I'm including maintenance because you have to save money for maintenance. So if you were getting paid $750 a month in rent, you would have $150 cash flow. And that's not even on my list. I'm not even discussing that in this video at all. So the next fourth way of getting paid in real estate besides cash flow is something I called property wedging. And I didn't make it up. It's just what I call it. So let's say, for example, you go to the local Best Buy and they're having a crazy sale on iPhones. Every other store in town charges $1,000. Best Buy's charging $850 for an iPhone just today. You go in there, you buy the iPhone, you don't open the box, the sale ends the next day. Excuse me. Yeah. So is it fair to say that you made $150, like doing nothing really? I think it's pretty fair to say. I mean, if this was the only store in the whole world selling it for under market value, they're losing money on it, you get it, and then you can just resell it for $1,000. So yeah, the point being is this kind of stuff happens in real estate all the time. Sometimes a property smells bad, has an old kitchen, a bad paint job, a dirty carpet, whatever it may be. And these homeowners are just in a rush to sell. They want to get rid of the house. They're done with it. They don't want to deal with it anymore. They just want to sell and get on with their life. So here's how this relates to 123 Alabama House, which we've been discussing. So you saw that a neighbor who has an identical house across the street or next to you sold their house for $140,000 2 months before you bought yours. In November of 2009, they sell for $140,000. You buy your place in January for $125,000. They sold for $140,000. The only difference in the two houses, they're identical in every way, is that the neighbor spent $5,000 renovating their kitchen. So you can reasonably assume that if you spend $5,000 renovating your kitchen, the house will become worth $140,000. And if you see the math there, you put in $5,000, you get back $15,000, that's $10,000. That's a lot of money. And what's really cool about this is that if your property was actually worth $140,000 in 2010 instead of $125,000 like you thought, your property is going to be worth $178,000 from appreciation based on the same appreciation we talked about in number three, I believe. Yeah, so the same appreciation we talked about in number 3, you've now gone from 160,000 in 2020 to 178,000. Now again, so your monthly increase of wealth has gone from 290 to 440 just by buying a property that you know is sold below market value. That's the wedge, is that the safety net you have. I'll get into that more in another video. Cool. So none of these topics take into account how much money you could be making by raising rent annually. You got to subtract property taxes, of course, from all these earnings. But property taxes are 100% tax deductible for rental properties. So there's a lot of information here. I'm trying to make it as simple as possible and easy to see. So I'll talk about this again in another letter and another video. But so the 2010 monthly tax write-off of $300 will decrease over time because of your interest payments going down over time. So the way the loan works is you start off by paying a lot of interest and a little principal, and then eventually over time it shifts where you're paying more principal and less interest. But that's more money to you anyway. So it really works out very well one way or the other. So let's sum this all up here. So in 2010, you get $150 a month for principal paydown. You get about $300 in interest write-off deductions. You get about $290 a month in appreciation. So this is $740 a month. Remember, you paid $25,000 in cash to get ownership of this $125,000 asset, and then you took on debt to be able to have access to this asset. So $740 times 12 months in a year is a earning, wealth, build, whatever you want to call it, a return of $8,880 a year. Now, here's the cool part where we do the ROI, the return on investment. You put in $25,000, you got back $8,880 in the first year you bought the house. You immediately get back almost $9,000. If you divide 880 by 25,000, this gives you a return on investment of 35% in 1 year. Now, look at the S&P 500 or Berkshire Hathaway or Apple and tell me if they're giving you 35% in 1 year. Now, that return is without using property wedging at all. I just mentioned property wedging. I didn't put that into the calculation at all. So, of course, this is going to get a lot trickier when your house is worth millions of dollars, because instead of like hundreds of thousands of dollars, because there's a lot less people who can afford to rent a house for $6,000 versus $600. But if you do want to sell, take that 1.25 million, whatever, 125,000 times 10, take that 1.25 million that you get in cash for selling your house, use it as a down payment on a $6 million apartment complex with 50 units, all worth $120,000. And then based on all the same calculations I just used for the little guy, you're going to be getting about $38,000 a month of wealth just from owning a $6 million apartment building, not including raising rents, not including cash flow, all just from one single investment. Now, that was a big, hefty investment, but nonetheless, that is my first article about real estate investing, about how real estate pays you 4 to 5 times. I mentioned 4 ways. Cash flow is the 5th. You can come up with more as well. This is just kind of the surface of it. I know it was kind of dense, and I like my microphone. I hope the audio is good. I know it was kind of dense and lots of math, but real estate is the way to go if you want to build wealth effectively. And as far as tax saving goes, I'm just going to have to release a whole video on that because it is crazy. Tax brackets in this country, United States, I think get as high as like 40-50%. Some people have real estate portfolios that they never pay taxes on at all. Of course, they pay property taxes. I'm talking about capital gains tax, where people really get slammed. And income tax is the one that gets really, really high. This is not all income. When your property is appreciating, you're not writing it as income. It's sitting in the asset. And you can always refinance and get really creative, but real estate investing is really cool. All right. Thanks, y'all, for watching. Look forward to working with you. Let's save the world together.